Which other three teams besides Alabama do you expect to round out the top four in the college football playoff rankings on Tuesday?
I think we're probably going to get Ohio State, Clemson, and Washington, which I think most people would probably predict at this point. Obviously, we had a crazy weekend last weekend, but I don't think it really shook up that those are the three teams that kind of follow Alabama.
Okay, so looking forward to the conference championship games that will be coming up this weekend. What is the biggest wrinkle that could affect those top four teams?
There are so many, even though we have some different teams and maybe not the teams we expected in those games. You look at obviously Washington and Clemson are the favorites in their title games, but if either of those two teams loses, I think that paves a path for a second Big Ten team. I also think if either Penn State or Wisconsin, if one of those teams went out and won big and really dominated, I think that could also, that plays in as well. Obviously, I do think we need a favorite to lose, but depending on what happens in that Big Ten game, I think we could get a second Big Ten team among those four. It just doesn't, it's hard to say who. It's hard to say if it's Michigan who's not even playing, if it's Penn State or Wisconsin who blows the other one out. There's so many options here.
Okay, the directive to the College Football Playoff Committee is to pick the best four teams, period. But the committee has never been in a situation where they've had to choose between a conference champion and another strong team in that same conference. So let's play out some scenarios. If Penn State wins the Big Ten championship, what do you think the committee will do?
It's so hard to say where they're going to go. And I think the same goes for if Wisconsin wins. I mean, both of those are 9-2 teams who have been, really dominant this year, both of whom I don't think either of us predicted would be. No one saw this Big Ten championship game coming. But I really do think you have to look at both those teams and their strength of schedule. Just those, they have, week after week been playing in probably the toughest conference in college football this year. And I mean, Wisconsin, look at what they did against Michigan and Ohio State. You look at Penn State, who beat Ohio State. There's a lot going for them in terms of strength of schedule, which the committee has come out and said that's very important. I think that was part of their justification for putting Texas A&M in there in the first rankings. So I really do think, maybe I think strength of schedule is probably the biggest determinant here, even if we are going to say we're looking at those champions as well. That's the thing that they have going for them.